And welcome back to the Nothing Show. I'm your host, Paul. Had an exciting night last night. Drove up to Phoenix, 100 miles each way, right after work, and saw the Descendants open for Rise Against. An incredible show. I didn't even know the Descendants were playing. I just walked in. Let me tell you the story about this whole ordeal. They had posted it that there was going to be a health check that you either had to bring your vaccine card or show a negative test for COVID within the last 48 hours. I knew this. I had my COVID vaccine card out, but in my haste trying to get out of the house and I needed to put air in my tires and gas up the ride, I forgot my COVID vaccine card. So I arrived in Phoenix. It's like, I don't know, 7:45 ish. The very first band, I forget who they were, because I didn't even see them. Probably started at 7:30. So you get up to the gate and they're like, "Let's see your vaccine card," and I'm like, "Well, I don't have it. I know exactly where it is." They said, "Well, you can get on the Arizona Department of Health website, and they should have a database where you can find your record." Of course, I tried that. That did not work. And through the generous kindness of one of my good friends, um, her boyfriend drove her to my house and took a picture of my vaccine card and sent it to me, and I got in, and it was like, by the time this all happened, 8:30, the very first band was already off the stage, and the Descendants had just taken the stage. Like, I just poked my head in, and I didn't know they were opening for Rise Against. I was going to see Rise Against, and I'm like, that sounds like the Descendants, and it was. So got a cold beverage and some water and headed in, and I was sixth row, um, center left, and we rock and rolled all night. It was a sweet show. Now here's my knock. I know I'm being critical. I understand why it is the way it is, especially with anything that has to do with a Live Nation show. They're very canned. Um, but anyway, Rise Against has played the exact same set for all of their shows since they started this tour. It hasn't deviated one bit, and it certainly did not last night. I knew every song they were going to play. And I'm from the good old days of the Grateful Dead where they never played the same show twice, and I just, you know, I expect a little more, I guess. I guess I'm holding them to a very high standard. I get it. They have their lasers and their lights, and everything is time to the music, and you can't just deviate from that. What would they do? But even in the middle of the show, Tim McElrath comes out and does a couple acoustic songs, and there's no light show, and there's no video effects going on, and could have played some other acoustic. He's got a repertoire of great acoustic songs. He could have used that time to not play the same songs he plays every night, but that's okay. It was still a great show. Had a great time. It was a long drive home, after a hard day of work. I went to the gym early and then worked and then bombed out of Tucson and drove up there. And by the time I was heading home, got out of the parking lot, it was 11:45, 11:30, so it was probably almost 2 a.m. By the time I got home, got to bed, of course, my body's set to about 6 a.m. schedule, so wake up 6 a.m. So I'm feeling it. I didn't drink, so it's not that bad. I'm not hungover. I'm just exhausted. I tried to get the motivation to get up and go to the gym, but it's not happening. I need a nap. But I wanted to cut some content. We need to talk about Afghanistan. Um, we saw the withdrawal of our troops and then the immediate takeover by the Taliban, and what this means for the people of Afghanistan, especially the women. And it's sad to see. I have a problem with America always putting their nose in other countries' civil wars and trying to fight wars for people that aren't necessarily, at least the majority didn't want the war to begin with. They didn't want the fight. And so, yeah, I'm glad we're pulling out. I'm sorry for all the peace-loving people, people that believe in equality. All the progress that was probably made over there is now gone, and some dark times are certainly ahead for the people, the women, and any minority groups of Afghanistan. So I feel bad about that, but this is the world we live in, and I'm glad that our men and women of our military are coming home and won't have to continue to propagate this war that was never about um, the people of Afghanistan or their freedom. It was about military contracts and building cell towers and the same old thing. It's always about oil, and our service members, in my mind, in my opinion, were exploited by military contracts and military contractors. And when the bottom fell out and the money wasn't there, it got too dangerous. Everyone went home, and now you have a situation where it's going to be grim. And of course, we're already talking about the Taliban has been our allies in the past. They've been to the White House. It's it's repulsive but true. We're already allies with a country like Saudi Arabia, so being allies with the Taliban for our government shouldn't be too far of a stretch. But again, it's a sad day for freedom. It's a sad day for anyone that believes in equality. But again, in my mind, I feel like at least the majority of the men in Afghanistan wanted to keep Sharia law and want to keep their religious system of governance in place. And so when you go there and you only have a few people that are willing to support the military and the propped up government, it's just doomed to fail. And sure enough, with corruption, the way it always is, and with the total lack of the support of the people, you are in an unwinnable situation. It was the same case in Vietnam, as it is everywhere in the world where we go and try and prop up a government. There's just too much corruption. And if you don't have the support of the people on the ground, you just can't win. We control the air. These people don't even know what airplanes are. You saw them holding on to the airplanes as they were taking off, leaving Kabul, and these people going to their deaths. And some are just saying, well, that's how desperate the situation is. And in my opinion, does not compute. I don't even think these people know what an airplane is. The level of ignorance in this country, of lack of education that people don't. Either they thought maybe the plane wouldn't take off if I'm holding on to it, and then we can try and negotiate our way onto it, or they thought they could just hang on and survive and don't realize what happens at 36,000 feet and 500 miles an hour does to you. Of course, it's easy to play armchair quarterback and say, what would I do in this situation? My heart says, when I'm facing a situation, in a life or death situation where I'm facing an oppressor whose intent is to kill me, I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight like hell. And that's what I think they should have done. You're already dead if you're a minority in Afghanistan. Your life is over. So do something that makes a difference. And again, I don't like to advocate. I'm not advocating violence, but again, I see it as self-defense at that point, that you need to do whatever you can to try and preserve your life and the lives of the people you associate with, your friends and family. But they don't. And they didn't. And now you have this situation. So, again, just a thought exercise, okay? Don't dive too deeply into this. I'm not advocating anything. I'm not trying to cause a spark here. But in my mind, and again, I know this is easy to be a armchair quarterback and just make commentary, but I'm going to do it. Let's just talk about it, okay? We're just talking. This is not to incite violence, but in my mind, if I was in Washington and trying to deal with this Afghan problem and this Taliban. So you either have to decide, okay, well, we're just going to tolerate them and accept it, which is probably what they'll do. I mean, they do it with other countries, like I said, like Saudi Arabia, that has no problems with beheadings and stonings and Sharia law, and they're our ally. So why would Afghanistan be any different? But or you say we're going to fight this barbaric system, and I would start if I go to the CIA and say let's start small cells just the way they do, and weaponize them and train them and educate them in guerrilla warfare, and just have all these small cells of women start popping up. I get the old grandmas and stuff to volunteer as human shields and get some young snipers, all female, and go out and start plugging the enemy and make them kill all the women. Because if they kill all the women, then they can't procreate. No more Taliban. So it's like you can fight them on that level, right? You can use your reproduction, your reproductive ability, which the one thing they can't have, the one thing this group of misogynistic men, these barbarians don't have, is the ability to make new Taliban. And you can take that away from them as a Afghani woman. You just have to be, first of all, you have to escape the brainwashing. And then you need some way of retaliating and fighting back. And I think, that's something we could do without having such a cost of United States lives. As we can fund them, we could provide them means and ways of fighting back against their oppressor and fight in ways that they fight against us. I think the whole idea of having these big standing armies is getting obsolete now. I mean, when are we going to have a big tank battle? It's not how war is fought anymore. Our enemies have become small cells of, we like to say extremists. I don't even want to say extremists anymore. They're not extreme. The people of Afghanistan, the everyday man of Afghanistan, is not an extremist. He's just an Afghani. And he's been taught that the men have all the power and control. That's the way it is. That's the way it's always going to be. And they are just in this system. And they don't know how not to agree with it. And so they all go along with it. So I don't think this is not Muslim extremists. This is moderates doing this kind of barbaric, cruel behavior, oppressing a whole group of people. So yeah, I think we should, instead of sending our ground troops and putting our men and women of the service in harm's way, get highly trained small cells, give them the best weaponry, give them the best technology, give them every advantage that we know how to, and go after specific targets and start playing their game. See if you don't get a better result, because we tried it the old-fashioned way for, again, 20 years or 20 years plus, and same old story. So disappointing. America's got to toughen up. We got to start taking care of our own. Certainly we need to see all Americans as Americans. Start seeing us as the in-group, not dividing the in-group amongst ourselves. And start seeing some of these bad actors as the out-group. These religious moderates. I mean, I don't have any problem with religion, but it shouldn't be the rule of the land, and this is why. That you should be able to think and believe anything you want. But we need to have a separation from that belief system and just have a set of laws that govern us that are fair and balanced and based in science. And that's, again, just my opinion. When you have the religious majority making your government, your society gets left behind. You look at these places like Afghanistan and Iran, and they haven't done anything in 3,000 years. You know, the same things they were doing. Their chief exports 1,000 years ago was rugs, pistachios, and herbs. And 1,000 years later, rugs, pistachios, spices, and herbs. So you got left behind. You get the world passes you by. So it doesn't work. It will always fail. But in my mind, I think we should just avoid them. You know, or again, we'll probably just make them our ally. Eventually, you would hope the people will rise up against it, but that shouldn't be our responsibility anymore. We should stop carrying the weight of the world as trying to be the world's police. And yeah, if you want to start a revolution within your own country and we're in line with your belief systems, maybe we can help you financially and with other support, but we need to stop going over there and dying. So that's all I got. I got to take a nap. I got to get to work today still, and always a lot of things on my checklist, but I wanted to get out, make a video. Had a great night. This is just, that was just night one of my late summer concert series. We're headed to Denver here in a few days. We're going to see a few shows out there. I think we're going to do 3 in a row. It's going to be a marathon. So that was just the warm up. I better get back to the gym and get my legs up, get my strength up. It's a lot of work getting down like that. So till we chat again, thanks for tuning in and checking in. Peace.